Good afternoon and welcome to the Groupie Scoop podcast. With over 46 years of experience in real estate, featuring Kia Longan with Windermere Group One, Melinda Robinson with Windermere Group One, as well as Mr. Jed Morris with Windermere Group One, and myself, Tim Hendershot, with Windermere Group One.
We are all with Windermere Group One. What an accident.
I know, right?
It's crazy.
So much fun.
So, Jed, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what our conversations are?
What's the scoop?
What is our scoop
What is
today?
the scoop? The scoop is going to be buyers, and we're talking about why it's a good time to buy now, what the market's doing, why it's good for buyers right now, and kind of discuss rumors and stats and statistics of what people are hearing and seeing, believing, and why now is a great time to buy. So
What we're predicting is that when rates jump up or jump down, that buyers are going to have a very hard time getting into homes because we're going to see over asking offers again, and it's going to be chaos out there. So what we're seeing right now in the market is a lot of price decreases, a lot of sellers willing to work with buyers, and more affordability than we've seen in a while. So we thought it would be a really good idea to touch on these subjects before rates drop and chaos hits the Tri-Cities.
what kind of chaos will we be talking about?
What kind of chaos? We would be talking about multiple offers, over asking, kidneys being given.
So
People bringing more cash to close because of over escalating offers, all of the things.
Appraisal issues.
Yep, yep,
Yep.
yep. So, and what we believe right now is with the amount of rate or price decreases, we are seeing so many people willing to negotiate that buyers are getting into homes for a lot of times less than appraised value. I just had one the other day where it was an appraisal waiver because the bank knew it was so far below what it should be sold at, that they said, we don't even need an appraisal on it. So once those rates drop, we're not going to see that again.
Yeah. And also, I think too, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but with the price reductions, instead of doing a price reduction, sellers could pay for a rate reduction, which
Mhm.
they could get the home at a more affordable than doing the price reduction even.
Right.
So
Right.
So like throwing money towards closing costs, I think going to buying down
Mm-hmm.
the
yeah.
buyer's rate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with the chaos that we saw in the early 20s, it's weird to say, um, was what we've said over and over again was just this total anomaly for what was happening in the market. And if you're a buyer waiting for those numbers and those rates to happen again, they're likely not going to happen again for another anomaly in 100 years. Like, it was just such a unique time with COVID and everything else that was going on. But so many buyers saw that, missed out on it because they got, they couldn't afford to go higher in price. They didn't have the additional cash to go, to go up an asking price and have cash to do that. And so they're waiting for this thing to happen again. That's probably not going to happen again. But what's going to happen again is rates are going to come down a little bit, and we're going to see that same chaos that we were talking about, prices going high. And so buying right now, when the rates may not be ideally where you want them, even though they've come down a little bit this week
Mm-hmm.
already, buying right now is, as a buyer, you have a lot more negotiating power because we're really kind of sitting in a new buyer's market that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And so waiting for rates and waiting for things to drop it could end up harming you later. So that's the chaos we're trying to avoid.
I absolutely agree. I actually just this week with rates dropping the little bit that they have, my phone's been ringing off the hook. So just for more showings, more people coming back out of waiting and hiding and jumping back into the buyer pool. So I don't know if you guys have experienced that with just the little shift that we've seen, but if we get down into the fives, which we are very close, we're hovering right above 6 right now. If we get down into the fives, we're going to be so busy. So with people coming out of the woodwork again, because they'll be ready to buy. We ran numbers this morning just looking at a historical view of interest rates, And history for the last 30 years has been 7.74% is our average for the last 30 years. So we're sitting already well below that. Obviously, we understand prices have gone up on homes, but interest rates are lower than they historically have been. So once we get down even lower, again, buyers are going to be coming back into the mix, and waiting could really cost you a lot more money.
Well, and even in those stats, when we pulled them up, it went by decades.
Yes.
And what decade was doing what? The 90s were in like the nines, and then in the
Mhm.
2000s it came down to like the sevens,
Yeah.
and then then they were back up into this eights again. But then literally over the last 5 years, the average was five something.
Right.
Even with that historically low couple years we had, it's still five from 20 to 25. And so if you take out that those crazy years, we are trending that direction. If you take out those years where they're really low and say, let's say they averaged, 5 to 6 around that time, we would be continuing the trend of this just slow roll between 9 and 5, coming up and down, just depending on what the economy is doing. And so I feel like it's what we talk about, like buyers have to get out of their head that this is going to happen again, and just let go of those years that happened and get into buying a house.
And right now, buyers have such a great opportunity of not having that competition out there. Right now, you may see one offer at a time on a property unless it's priced below market average. You may see a couple offers on a home. Whereas if we do drop into the fives, you're going to see 13, 15, 20, offers on a home at a median average
Mhm.
price, throwing out inspections, asking over, and it's going to make your competition. You have so much to go through to beat that competition on your offer.
And piggybacking off of that, we ran more numbers because we really, 46 years of combined work history together, or work, in real estate, wasn't enough. We actually wanted to have stats. So hear this. In July, 2025 July, homes that were priced between 301,000 and 400,000, 82% of those had price drops. 82%. So that is a huge number when we're looking at it from a buyer standpoint. When those rates drop again, that 82% is probably going to maybe go down to 2%. Obviously, we can't, read the future, but it's not going to be in the 80s. So the other important point too with lenders, if you're thinking about buying, but you're like, I don't want to buy in now with the rates high and then do have money for a buy down and whatnot. A lot of lenders will refinance you for very, very small amounts. So we can't say free, but nearly free. So that's something to consider as well. If you've been on the fence about buying, let's get you with a lender and let's see if it makes sense for you to buy now.
And piggybacking off the lender comment, Motto Mortgage, who we work with a lot, they do have a program that you can refi for minimal fees,
Mhm.
even up to 6 months after you buy. So if you buy now and those rates drop down 6 months later, you can refi the house. I had a client do that earlier this year, where she bought a house out in Benton City, had a house to sell in Kennewick, didn't want to be contingent, so she bought the house in Benton City, qualified for 2 mortgages, sold the house in Kennewick like 6 months later, and then threw the equity from that house into a refi, and got a rate, and rate changed even slightly when she did that. But there's mortgage companies like Model Mortgage that will do that and get you, so when the rates do come down a little bit and you bought at 6, but maybe they're now 5.5, there's lenders who will work with you for minimal fees to refi it out to. A question for Melinda is, with your listings that you've had recently, we're talking about the price drops. Are we seeing price drops because they're overpriced and not selling, because they're priced well and not selling, or because sellers are willing to negotiate and come down on the price?
I think it's really a seller. They're motivated and they want to get to their next chapter, so therefore they're willing to reduce it. But either way, they would reduce it or do a rate buy down, which ultimately would save the buyer more money if they did the rate buy down. So
Mhm. Yeah. What are you guys experiencing with appraisals right now? Are you seeing any appraisal, like I was mentioning with appraisal waivers and whatnot? Are you seeing any of that, or are you seeing appraisals come in low, high? What are you experiencing?
I haven't experienced any issues with appraisals
Okay.
coming in high or low.
Okay. I've had a
yeah.
couple
I
come
had
in
one
low.
come in high. Oh,
Mhm.
low. I had one
Yeah.
come in high.
Yeah,
Well, for my buyers that I've had so far, um, for the appraisals that I've seen, they've been coming in at value. Even if the listing, had a price drop, or if the seller negotiated the price down for that buyer. One I just had closed today, was we listed at 365 in Pasco. We took the offer at 360, it appraised for 360. So as far as they told me that it appraised for 360, we were at value is what I was told. Now, could that also could have been higher? Possibly. Am I asking the agent if I could find out more? Yes, but
right.
for buyers that I've had, most of the time so far, the appraisals have been coming in right at value though for the buyers that I've worked with recently. So I'm not seeing them going like they're coming in higher.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So inventory, let's talk about inventory, because I think that's another huge point for buyers that are looking currently. There is a lot to pick from. And yep. So a lot to pick from. And a good chunk of those have had price decreases. And people are negotiating, sellers are negotiating, builders are negotiating. When those rates drop, so our inventory is likely to go down as well. So you're going to have less to pick from. Right now, you have so many options. And if you've been on the fence, again, let's get you to somebody, let's talk to somebody and get a plan figured out for you so you don't miss buying a home, because home ownership is an amazing thing, an amazing opportunity for us.
Well, in perspective on that inventory, it's double
Right.
what it was during COVID times.
Right.
So just to put a
And that's what
perspective.
yeah, when we're talking about buyer market and seller market, that's inventory plays a big part in what that means. You're in a buyer's market when you have more inventory than normal to sell, because you have a lot of sellers out there that are trying to sell and not as many buyers buying. So you're in a buyer's market, they have a lot of options. When it's flipped, it's like we have tons of buyers and not a lot of sellers, and that's when you see those prices over asking price, multiple offers, all that kind of stuff. So right now with our inventory, like he is saying, with as many houses we have available in all price ranges, then we are in a buyer's market. Maybe not in every single price point, but in the majority of our price points. And we talk about price points, we're talking about 3 to 4, 4 to 5. Like we categorize them in $100,000 increments for price points. But in most of the price points, we're very much seeing it's a lot of inventory, a lot of options,
Right.
and not a lot of buyers out there because they're waiting, so we're trying to do this to teach you don't need to wait. Let's get on it.
That's the big thing, is don't wait, because that's going to be the hardest thing for you to overcome. Get the house at a good price now, refinance when the rates are projected to drop. So ask for those rate buy downs and just roll with it that way. Because that same house, we asked one of our lenders that we work with, if you were to purchase a $600,000 house and put down 20% at a 6.625 interest rate, that's going to give you a payment of roughly $3,073 a month. If you decide to wait for rates to go down to 6.125, and let's say you wait, till next year, the home has appreciated probably 5% ish, and now that's a $630,000 home. So with that $630,000 home, you're putting 20% down. Your monthly payment is $3,062 a month. You're saving $10. So, and you're putting down $6,000 more. It does not make sense to wait. So, and if you're looking at it from a number standpoint. So obviously I don't like to number at all. I don't like numbers. I don't think Melinda likes numbers. So, but it's so important to know when you're thinking about, should I wait or should I buy? So, yeah.
Another thing on, waiting when the inventory does drop, you're gonna be potentially purchasing a home because you need a home.
Right.
It's gonna be buyer's remorse. You're not getting the home that you want. Right now, you have the time to take time, look for those great homes, find those good offers, take time negotiating to get the home that you want, because you may not have that opportunity when rates drop.
Yeah.
Everything flies
Very.
twice as fast.
And that did happen a lot.
Yes.
There was people buying stuff and they were trying to turn around and sell it a year or two later because they weren't happy.
There was
Yeah.
nothing
Yep.
available. They had
Right.
to.
And also to the extent where if let's say as you're qualifying for the loan, you're qualifying for $600,000. what's gonna change in the next year for your job that you're gonna qualify for $630,000? Are you anticipating a raise or a bonus or an inheritance or something? Because in the next year, if your job doesn't change, you're not due for any pay increases. Your qualifications aren't gonna go up $30,000 to be able to buy that house. So
Yeah.
now you're buying less of a house because you waited a year, because prices have all gone up. So now that, that $600,000 house at 630, the $600,000 house now is not everything you're looking for.
Right.
So while you have all the options and you have the financing ready to go, and you have all this inventory to look through, like Tim's saying, go find the house that you want versus the house that you have to have.
Mhm.
Because now you're in multiple offer situation, you don't qualify for more, but prices go up. Historically with Tri-Cities, when you look at our appreciation rate trends over the last 30 years, there's maybe 2 or 3 years where we had any negative appreciation, and that negative appreciation was like less than 1 or 2%. It was
Right.
very minimal.
Right, right.
We have consistently been in this like Truman Show bubble in the Tri-Cities where our prices have steadily gone up and up and up. And that we only anticipate it still doing that. And so as a buyer, understand that, I talked to a client the other day, brand new buyers, young couple, first time buying a home, and they wanted to wait about a year to save up $5,000 more so that they had a little bit more money to put down. And my conversation with them was that I go, in that next year, here's what's going to happen. And your $5,000 is not going to help you a
Right.
year from now. But they budgeted $5,000 based on both their jobs and how much money they make and what they can pull aside every month to get to, it's about $500 a month that they could save to get to $5,000. And they realize it's not going to make a difference. So like, okay, so what do we do? I go, well, let's look at down payment assistance options. Let's look at programs that can help you get into something sooner and get into a house now. So you're able to buy what you can buy, because you're gonna price yourself out next year if you wait.
Right. And I think a good point to make as well is we're not telling you this because we want you to buy a house from us. We're telling you this because we really want to see you be able to own a home and to have it easier for you to own a home and to have it more affordable for you to own a home. Rates are not everything. So they're a part of the equation, but you actually have to make sure that it is a good time to invest as well. A lot of people follow the national news and whatnot, and that's why the four of us wanted to sit down and talk today, because nationally could be going one direction. Locally, we are seeing something completely different a lot of times in the Tri-Cities. Very conservative market, very conservative buyers and sellers out there. So we need to make sure that what we're doing is helping you make a very good investment for your future. And telling you that now is a very good time to buy is not just a way for us to get more sales. Like, it is actually truth. So it is facts.
Yep.
So on that note, anybody else have anything to add?
Nope.
Nope.
No?
Short and sweet for the scoop. I like
Yes.
it.
Until
Yes.
next time.
Till next time. Thanks.
All right. Thanks. Yep. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and happy house hunting.
Showsters.